What's going on YouTube? Welcome to the Logo Mogo 50 channel. Today I just kind of wanted to do a video on some of the 1911s I have and show them off, and kind of like I guess a collection video of what I've got. And a little bit part of this video also is to explain why I carry a 1911 and why I like it. Now, before I get into that point, I don't want people to think on this video that this is like a Glock hating video or something like that. I just choose to carry the 1911. I have a couple Glocks as well. I know people get really hardcore into the whole debate between Glock versus 1911, but this isn't that kind of video. Honestly, when it comes to that, argument, I'm like, why in the hell don't you just get both? I mean, just settle it there. But anyway, so to start off, on the right side, those are my 1911s that I've got. On the left side, those are my dad's. Not all of his are here. I think he has 2 or 3 more 1911s, but these are the ones that were just sitting in the safe. And then the ones up top, those are just all 22 1911s. So everything here is chambered in 45 except for those. Honestly, if you're going to buy 1911, I suggest you buy it in 45. I don't know why you would buy it in any other caliber. Besides, I mean, 22 is just for like plinking and trying to save money, because 45 is kind of expensive. But yeah, the 1911 was made for 45 and 45 was made for 1911. Just kind of how it works. But anyway, so I guess I'll just start off with this video with I'll start on the left side, kind of show you what's over on that side. As you can tell, my dad, he's more like a stainless steel kind of fan. Me, I'm more into the blue 1911s. I like kind of the more classic look. More, I guess, I don't know, to me it just looks nicer. But anyway, that's just my opinion. So we'll start off here. All these guns have been safety checked, but I just kind of want to show these off here. First we have, this is a Colt Officers ACP, and my camera is kind of sucking right now at focusing, but there you can see it. So Colt Officers ACP, this, I mean, a lot of people think of this as kind of one of the cream of the crop Colts out there. They don't make them anymore, kind of hard to find. This gun has some extra stuff on it, like it has an ambi safety, some other things. The trigger wouldn't have been skeletonized when it first came out of the factory. But it's definitely a cool 1911. It's been polished, as you can see. It's chambered in 45. Super cool gun. It, of course, has like the bulled barrel at the front, so there's no bushing that you have to worry about. And there's a safety right there. But trigger, kind of stiff, but I don't know. It's an old school kind of Colt, so I'm not expecting like Nighthawk precision or anything. But definitely a cool gun. Next one we have here, this is a Kimber stainless 2. It's got Hogue grips. Whenever they come brand new, they don't have wraparound grips. They're just black. I think they're like G2 style or whatever. This chambered in 45 ACP. Really cool gun. Super accurate. I have another Kimber on my side, but we kind of like the Kimbers. Some people have mixed feelings about them, but I really haven't had any issues with mine. This one, like I said, super accurate. When we go to the range, this is my dad's go-to gun, and he actually can whoop me up pretty good on some targets with that one. But yeah, so there's that. Moving on to this one right here. This is a Ruger SR 1911. This is kind of the gun that got me and my dad back into 1911s. Little story for you, I guess. My dad, he was actually in the military. He was in the Army Rangers, and in the early 80s when he became part of the Ranger Battalion, they actually issued him a 1911. They hadn't adopted the Beretta M9 as their service pistol yet. So that's kind of how my dad, I guess, kind of got introduced to him. I'm sure he shot him before, but military was where he kind of learned the ins and outs of the 1911. And from there, he carried the 1911 until the military decided to adopt the M9. And of course, they got rid of all the 1911s and switched over to the Berettas. And since then, we really haven't had any 1911s. And it wasn't until Ruger came out with the SR 1911 that I kind of found some interest in the 1911. I'd never shot them before, and this was back in, I think, I want to say like 2010, 2011, around there when Ruger came out. I'm not exactly sure. Don't hold me to that. But anyway, so I was looking at some 1911s. I really wanted to get into them, and the Ruger really caught my eye. Ruger had never done a 1911 before. You know, we've had previous Ruger firearms. They've all been really nice guns. So we thought, I actually thought, let's give it a try. So we actually picked up both these 1911s at the same time, and the serial numbers are just one off from each other. So my dad's, the only way we can tell them apart is the grips. I keep the original ones that came on it, and he of course has these Hogue wraparound ones, which he's kind of a fanboy of. But anyway, so yeah, if I would say this isn't entry 1911, I would say it's kind of a step above the entry level, so just a slight step. So I think the price point around here for Rugers nowadays, I think they're like 700 plus, you know, not over 8, so like in that range, 700 to 800, you can usually find them. If you find a used Ruger 1911, I wouldn't hesitate to, you know, take a look at it and, you know, think about purchasing it. I haven't had any issues with my Rugers. They've all fed and very reliably. I mean, I usually compare them to my Kimber 1911s, and they stack up very well. I haven't had any issues. They're very accurate. They're very smooth right out of the box. Something you'll find with 1911s, I'm sure a lot of people watching this know everything about 1911s, but if there's some person out there who doesn't know much, 1911s, they kind of require like a break-in period. Most manufacturers will say around 500 rounds is kind of the break-in period for their 1911. With the Ruger, I think their suggested break-in period is around there. But even through the break-in period, didn't have any issues. But if you're looking to really fine-tune your 1911, shooting the most rounds possible out of it is really the way to dial in a 1911. People say, oh, you're gonna break springs or break parts, but I mean, that's really what smooths them out and gets them shooting really accurate, and makes them, I think, makes them even more reliable the more you shoot them. So don't be afraid to go out and shoot your 1911. I know it's kind of expensive and kind of a pain in the ass to go shoot it, but over time it's definitely worth it, and you'll find that your firearm gets better and better the more you shoot it. That's what I found, at least. But yeah, Ruger 1911, super cool. Like I said, just a step above like an entry 1911. I have one on the right side that I'll show y'all that I would suggest to be like entry level 1911. But yeah, so there's the Ruger right there. So I'll move over to my side. I already talked about the Ruger 1911, so I won't go back to it. But just to show you, they come with like these. I'm not exactly sure what kind of wood this is, but it's like the darker reddish kind of wood that comes on there. So if you're into that, it's definitely cool. As you can tell, the Rugers have like, the reason I'd say it's a step above an entry-level 1911, because you do have some extras that come with it. So of course you have like the mainspring housing in the back is a flat mainspring housing. And that's more typical of the original 1911. The A1 has, you know, the hump and the little on the back, but you also get an extended beaver tail. So, you know, the early 1911s, you would get what they call hammer bite on the back of your thumb here, and that just keeps that from not happening. So I'll go into this next 1911 right here. This is a Kimber Tactical Entry 2, but as you can see, it's got Warrior grips on it. You can't just buy the Warrior grips from Kimber's website. You actually have to buy a Desert Warrior to get them. So cut a long story short, I bought a Desert Warrior and I sold it, but kept the grips, basically, because this is my first Kimber and never want to sell it. It's a super accurate gun. This one is the one I always take shooting. This one probably has close to 5,000 rounds through it, and I haven't changed a single part on it. Only cleaning I've done too is just regular field stripping. I haven't taken the slide apart or the frame apart to clean any of the parts. Until I find an issue, I'm just gonna keep field stripping and keep shooting it. But like I said before, this is my most accurate 1911. I shoot this one the best. It's a super smooth gun. It's got the checkering here on the front of the magazine weld. Kind of hard to pick that up on the camera, but it's got checkering on the front. I'm really into that. I like the checkering on the front. Oh shoot, it's got it on the back here too. But yeah, that's just so you can grip it, get a firmer grip on it, and shoot it a little bit better. And I've got an extended slide stop on it too, just so you don't have to whip the whole gun around to reach it. But yeah, it's got an ambidextrous safety. It comes like that from the factory. You got a skeletonized trigger, skeletonized hammer. It does come with night sights, which is pretty cool. You also have a rail, so if you want to put on a Streamlight or a Surefire or whatever, you can do that. And on the end here, it's got like the magwell thing, a jig, I guess, that just attached to the mainspring housing here, and it's supposed to help with reload, just so you can get the mag in quicker. But yeah, super nice 1911. Really like it. Like I said before, people kind of hate on Kimbers. Some have issues. I would say most of them don't have issues, but some can. It's not uncommon to see that. So, all right, and then moving along here, I'm gonna skip over this next one and go into the SIG. This is a SIG 1911. This is actually the one I carry the most, or it's my designated carry 1911. It's a commander size 1911. This is their Nightmare model. With that, you get they call this like bobtailing at the end here for the mainspring housing. That's just so it doesn't grab on your clothes when you draw it. It's got checkering on the front, checkering on the back, no ambidextrous safety, extended beaver tail, skeletonized trigger, skeletonized hammer. I would say this is a little bit extended. It's not like your regular slide stop, but that's cool. Like I said, this is the commander size, so it's got this one is a 4 1/4 inch barrel. This is my first SIG 1911, and honestly, probably going to be my last. Not because of reliability issues or anything like that, but I just don't really like, there's a couple things that are going for a 1911, and one of that is the slim profile of it. And SIG does their own kind of flair, their style of 1911, and it's actually a little bit thicker than a traditional like Colt 1911. So I mean, you don't notice it a whole bunch, but when you start carrying the gun every day and you just carry it a bunch, you notice little things, and that's just kind of one of the little things I've noticed. And there's a Glock peeking right there, just to show everybody that I'm not lying. I do actually have a Glock, but yeah. So with the Nightmare, it's all black. It's got their kind of like I think it's some kind of nitrate like coating or whatever, but it's supposed to be like sweat resistant and that kind of thing, so your gun doesn't rust. But as you can see, the accents are all in the stainless steel over a black gun. The barrel bushing is also stainless. Doesn't have a bulled barrel, so you take it apart just like in any other 1911. But yeah, it's a super cool gun. I like it. It shoots very well. One thing I'll say about SIG that, SIG 1911s that I'm not a big fan of is their triggers. This from the factory is I would say is a heavy 1911 trigger. The Ruger is definitely better than it. I don't understand why they don't have better triggers on their 1911s, but I don't know. Probably the price point you're getting at with this gun is right at $1,000. So you get kind of the extras you get, like the bobtailing and the checkering and stuff like that. I mean, they have to cut corners someplace, and I guess the place they feel that they should is the trigger, which I don't support that, but it is what it is. So this is definitely, yeah, this is my first SIG 1911 and probably my last one. But other than that, it's super reliable. Like I said, it's a good shooter. If you're into SIG 1911s, you know what I'm talking about. They're great guns. The quality control is good over there at SIG. I've seen some videos on the internet about, them, having reliability issues when it comes to hollow points and stuff like that. I think it just goes into the break-in period. A lot of people get these out of box and, do a full review on it, and they think that's how the gun is forever. But I mean, like I said before, if you really just break these guns in and you shoot them a bunch, they're going to be reliable 100%. So yeah, there's the SIG, and then I'll just go quickly kind of through these next ones. Now this is like an entry 1911. So this is a Cimarron 1911. It's the one they did where it's kind of a mix between the World War I 1911 and the A1 1911. So you get a flat mainspring housing, you get a longer trigger, but some of the A1 parts is you get A1 hammer, an A1 beaver tail, and then over here the slide's been cut, or the ejection port or whatever. So it gets I guess better reliability when ejecting. But as far as like the World War I 1911, you get the flat and the lanyard loop, and then doesn't have any cuts right here. The sights are A1 style, so a little bit better sights. As you can see, this gun is kind of messed up. I bought this as like a project gun. I bought it super cheap. I've never actually shot it yet, so I can't tell you if it's good or not. But there are videos on the internet about this Cimarron 1911. So why this is an entry 1911? So an entry 1911, I would say, is around the $500 mark. Most of them are going to be made in the Philippines. This one, it's Cimarron, but I believe they partner with Rock Island, so it's basically a Rock Island armory, I'm pretty sure. So those are all made in the Philippines. There's good things to be said about Rock Island 1911s. A lot of people have, a lot of good stuff to say about them. Some people don't. But when you're getting into that price point, I mean, with these, either they're project guns that people want to tune up, or like truck guns. I wouldn't keep a very nice gun in my car in case someone broke and install it. So that's kind of why I have this. And I've also been watching that show on Netflix called Longmire, where he has like an old beat up 1911, and I might probably gonna turn this into one of those. So yeah, so that's an entry 1911, I would say. But I'll shoot it and see what happens. I'm expecting it to be pretty reliable, so we'll just have to wait and see. Now this one, I have quite a few videos on this. I'm not going to touch it too much, but this is my Colt 1911 from 1912 with the serial number C107. It's the 107th commercial 1911 ever made. It was refinished back in the 70s. That's why it doesn't look like it's all beat up. But they actually did a pretty decent job. Back in 1912, the whole gun was blued in like this kind of like black finish looking. But they did a really good job. They got it pretty close to what it would have been like in 1912. So it's a really cool gun. It was from my grandpa. He's not around anymore. So I wish he was here to tell me more about it. I didn't get a chance to talk to him too much about it before he passed away. But I'm definitely thankful for him passing it down, and for it being in the family. It's very rare that you find a 1911 that's has this serial number that's so low that's not in a museum. But it's, like I said before, I'll put a link down in the description to my old videos on this gun. There are some things that aren't, like the lanyard loop right here has broken off or came off during some point in this gun's life. But you gotta keep in mind it's over 100 years old, so something is more than likely gonna happen to it. But the grips are original to the gun. They aren't exactly the ones that came on it, but they're from that production run. So they actually use like real wood in the grips back in 1912. So the grips are super expensive. I'm not gonna go into that, but they are worth a lot, most than your Glocks that you'll find. But anyway, it's a super cool 1911. So this kind of wraps up the video. I'm not gonna show the SIGs, the little 22s, but yeah, this is the 1911s that I've got, and I don't know, if you're a 1911 guy, you probably understand why so many people just love 1911s. There's something about shooting a bowling ball, basically 230 grains at a steel target and doing it accurately. That's something 1911 is known for, and I think it will continue to be known for that. So like I said, thanks for watching. I'll put those links down in the description. So if you guys want to check out more on C107, you can check it out. And thanks for watching.